So would this even be a Survivor Series War Games video without the obligatory William Regal impression of War Games? Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Ewan McQuaid, and yes, that was a terrible William Regal impression. I thought I could do it better, but wow, I tried many times as well. There were a lot of takes on the cutting room floor. That was bad. That was genuinely bad. I do better impressions, I promise. But yes, today we are talking about War Games. A little bit better. It was a little bit better. But we're talking about War Games. We're talking about Survivor Series in particular because everyone's seen the announcement. Everyone's excited for the main roster doing War Games finally. I am in fact going to predict what I think the teams will be for both the women's and the men's War Games matches, and some of the story elements I think that will go into them, because I think that'll be pretty fun, pretty exciting, a little bit of speculation. Can't wait till I am wrong. So we're going to start off with, I think, the men's. Let's start with the men's because I have a bit of a story change that I'll be doing for the women's match. So a few caveats before we start. This is the WWE War Games, so I am going under the impression that there will be 4 members of each team, not 5, even though it would be incredibly satisfying to have Roman, Usos, Solo, and Sami Zayn in the match. But no, I'm going under the assumption that this is going to be 4-on-4 War Games style. So the men's. Obviously, one team is going to be comprised of the Bloodline. Surely. If not, then they have really missed something. But the big question mark that hangs over that is, will Roman Reigns be in the match? For me personally, and the way I want the story to go, I think he should be in the match. I think Roman should be at Survivor Series. It's a Big 4 pay-per-view. Surely he's contracted for that because before he won the title, surely he would have had a champ v champ match. But no, he's going to be in the match. So, Team 1, Roman Reigns. Then, of course, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, they're of course going to be in the match as well. The final member though, do you put Solo or Sami? I think the most interesting way they can take this story is Sami Zayn is in the match. Solo Sikoa can stay doing North American Championship things. I know he's vacated it recently, but he has a reason not to be in the match. But Roman trusting Sami in the match, I think, plays well into their story of him sort of, causing friction within the bloodline. So I think that's one team made up right there. You've got Roman, you've got the Usos, and you've got Sami Zayn. Who will he be taking on, though? Now, if you'd have asked me this maybe about 2 months ago, I would have said Drew McIntyre is a guarantee to be in this match. It would be Team Drew versus Team Roman. However, I think the match at Survivor Series is going to be Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. I don't think Drew McIntyre is going to be in this match. Instead, okay, this is where I'm spitballing ideas. I think the team captain and who this should be built around is Kevin Owens. It should be Team Owens versus the Bloodline. Who he has with him? Again, it's a bit of a mishmash of people. Kevin Owens is the key one. He's got history with Sami. There's a lot of tension that can be brought up there between Roman and Kevin Owens in promos. I think that dynamic works perfectly going into a War Games match. As we've seen on Raw, I think Johnny Gargano might be in this match. I think he's going to have a match with Austin Theory, maybe at Extreme Rules, and then he will slot himself into this main program going against the Bloodline. So I think that's two. That's 2 spots taken. Kevin Owens and Johnny Gargano. The other 2 are quite hard. So, me personally, my pick of who I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be Riddle. I think Riddle's going to win the Fight Pit match, and hopefully that closes the book on the Seth Rollins feud. I think it's been a great feud, but now it's time to bring it to a close, maybe move Seth on to something else, maybe a feud with, I don't know, Bobby Lashley. That'd be nice. Maybe a long-form feud with Lashley. I think that would work quite well. So, having Riddle in there and the history with Roman, I think that works really well. The last pick, you've got Riddle, you've got Kevin Owens, and you've got Johnny Gargano. So I've got 2. I've got 2 off the top of my head. One I think is incapable. What the dream one, who it should be in this scenario, it should be Randy Orton. But if Randy Orton is not cleared, then he's not going to be a part of this match. But I've also got a vision, right? I've got a vision. Hear this fantasy booking. Bloodline are in the ring. They're facing down with Kevin Owens. I've lost track now. Kevin Owens, Johnny Gargano, and Riddle. They're having that stare down. They've got the numbers advantage. They think they're going to mob everyone. And then Braun hits. And Roman looks like he's seen a ghost, because obviously they haven't had a confrontation yet. Braun comes out as the equalizer, and Braun Strowman is the last man in the War Games match. I think that writes itself. History with Roman and history with Kevin Owens, so there can be that infighting, that friction, but having an absolute monster unit inside War Games, I think, is something I can't really remember it being done before. You had like the Viking Raiders in the War Games match in NXT, you had the AOP, but this, for me, having Braun in there and having Braun come out last as well and just wrecking house, I think that could really revitalise his character and really cement him in the main event scene of him being that final man for the team. So that is my pitch for the men's. Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, and the Usos taking on Kevin Owens, Johnny Gargano, Matt Riddle, and Braun Strowman. Team Owens versus Team Bloodline. I think that writes itself. I think I've done a good job with that one. I do. I think I've done a really good job. Pat on the back. If you hate it, let me know down in the comments, because if you probably do. Shall we move on to the women's? The women's War Games match. Again, 4-on-4. And again, pretty obvious sort of for one team. You're going to have Damage Control in there. You're going to have Dakota Kai, Bayley, and Io Sky on one side of the ring. But it is a 4-on-4 match, so who takes up that other spot? And this is where my twist, heel turn comes in. I think Damage Control are going to be joined by Alexa Bliss. After the promo that happened on Raw, I think turning Bliss heel, having her align with Damage Control, I nearly said the Judgment Day then, nearly did. Having her align with Damage Control and be that fourth member, and then that can just lead into a Alexa Bayley feud where those two are sort of battling for the title of who is the leader of Damage Control. I think that could work really well, really furthers that story. Nice heel turn. Let's get the goddess back, the good Alexa Bliss that we all like, not this weird sort of in-between of Fiend Alexa and regular Alexa. I'm not too keen on that. And then it's just, who do they go up against? And I think that, again, would pretty much write itself. You've got Bianca Belair in there. You would have Asuka. Asuka would be in there. And then there's 2 slots left, which can only really be taken by Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. Surely. Because they've still got beef after losing the titles. I think that's a perfect way to balance out these teams and make interesting stories around the War Games match. Alexa turns on Bianca, turns on Asuka, aligns with Damage Control. They get the backup of Raquel and Aaliyah, and Raquel can have an amazing showing in the War Games if she's in line for this big push that apparently she is. It's been reported she is. So I think that works. That pretty much just writes itself. That's how I think it's going to go. That's how I think the War Games match is going to go. As for who will win, I would like to see Damage Control win the women's War Games match, and I would like to see Kevin Owens' team, or the babyface team, beat the Bloodline via shenanigans with Sami Zayn, because that just furthers this really, really interesting story that they're telling with Sami Zayn, and having Sami Zayn be the one who costs them, or even maybe a bit more interesting, maybe one of the Usos costs Roman the match. I think that would be incredibly interesting. I think this is a perfect time for the Bloodline to lose, and really, really exciting times. It's really exciting times in WWE right now. They're doing a lot of things right. We've got a fight pit match at Extreme Rules. There's so much exciting stuff going on right now. But I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your predictions for the War Games match. Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try and apply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.